You know the restaurant industry. I don't have to tell you this. You know this. They've taken a real hit since the pandemic started. Problems with staffing, with people showing up, all sorts of things. And it's interesting because last year the U.S. economy grew at its fastest pace since 1984. But the Delta variant kept a lot of people home and out of restaurants. Now you've got Omicron that is just crushing them again. This week, you saw reservations at restaurants dropping an average of 23% nationwide, according to data from OpenTable, you know, that restaurant reservation website. Now you've got some of these restaurant owners pleading with Congress, begging with Congress to do more to keep their restaurants from closing. Here's Maura Barrett.
5 minutes or 10 minutes?
When Diana Davila opened Mitokaya, she had a vision for her restaurant.
We prize so much that feels like the flavors of our home that really, in large part, that the women have made. So really kind of showcasing those flavors in a very sort of mi casa es tu casa sort of a way.
3 years into the business, though, she was met with the pandemic, trying to stay afloat ever since, now coming up on the 5th anniversary.
We went from 25 employees to, at the end, it was 4 employees. I would love nothing more to have a place that's not just a flavor of the Mons, but hopefully be a staple in Chicago.
How could that hope become a reality? More money allocated towards the Restaurant Relief Fund, she says.
We have done everything the right way when you want that sort of American dream. It would be such a shame to lose, I don't want to say my business, I feel like our business of Mitokaya, to see her go away because our government couldn't put something together.
2 years into the pandemic, restaurants still face a constant struggle due to the Omicron surge, the labor shortage, and cost increases, experts say.
Just last week, we had a series of calls with our community, and they're pretty much at breaking point. Right now, we need help from Congress. We need federal relief and state relief.
In 2021, lawmakers allocated $28.6 billion towards the Restaurant Revitalization Fund for struggling bars and restaurants. According to the Small Business Administration, more than 300,000 restaurants applied. About a third of those applicants received relief funding. This limited relief came after the first round of the Paycheck Protection Program in 2020, which allowed some big chains like Shake Shack and Ruth's Chris Steakhouse to benefit from the funds, even though the program was intended for small businesses. Shake Shack ultimately returned the $10 million it received after criticism. The selection process is unclear, but these rounds of funding left many smaller restaurants, like Mitokaya, without aid money to keep going.
To go, right?
Yes. Just 4 miles south in downtown Chicago, Gene and Giorgetti was one restaurant that did receive some aid.
So the original Gene and Giorgetti is actually right here.
But despite its 80-year history in the city, they're still uncertain about their future, urging Congress for more relief.
I think it is one of the biggest priorities that they should be looking at right now.
In January, the National Restaurant Association called on Congress to replenish the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, noting a survey of operators found 88% of restaurants saw indoor dining demand wane because of the Omicron variant, and 50% of restaurants who didn't receive the first round of funding of the grant feel it's unlikely they'll stay in business without bailout money. But there's been hesitation from Washington, D.C., the White House telling NBC News in part, "We are continuing to closely track the impacts of Omicron and will address if additional targeted relief is needed, but we are not in the same place we were last year."
Did I worry about not turning 80? Every day. Every single day. I still worry every day. You know, I'm third generation. Keeping this restaurant going it's a big responsibility.
Maura Barrett is joining us now. Maura, talk a little bit more about the hopes for this second round of basically bailout money, right? These restaurant owners, you heard it there, they really want to see this from the White House and Congress. But right now, you know, I live in Washington. There's a lot of other things that are on the White House and Congress's plate right now.
Exactly, and right now negotiations look to be at a stalemate in Congress. The National Restaurant Association basically asking for $48 billion added to this second round. They say that that would cover the nearly 200,000 restaurants whose applications are still pending for this fund because they never got any of that money. The association also saying that this would help save 1.6 million jobs. So that's a huge impact on a lot of American people, right, Hallie? And this is all coming to pressure, obviously not a huge priority for the White House, Congress, Congress still having these conversations, even though there is a bill in the Senate. It just hasn't reached enough co-sponsors to bring it to a vote on the floor yet. But Congress does need to come to terms about a government spending bill by February 18th, and the industry is hoping that replenishment can be tied into that. Hallie.
Maura Barrett, thank you very much for bringing us tonight's original. Always good to see you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.